So
she had like,
if I'm being honest,
luscious lips and high heels.
I did not know that M&M's had any identity apart from that there was a peanut one and a chocolate
Well,
one.
the peanut one's kind of like the doofusy one. The little red one, voiced by Billy West, which is always trips me out because it just sounds like Fry,
Exactly,
like coming out of an M&M.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're changing those ones. The brown M&M was like had glasses and they made them more like modern or whatever.
Okay, so I have not seen any of these ads apparently. Now, I do remember when I was a kid that green M&M, if you ate green M&Ms, it was supposed to mean that you were horny. So like,
whoa, so that's why they horned up the green M&M.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I also don't really remember any ads of the green M&M, which is why this is so fucking funny that this is like a topic that's even in the world right now, because like none of it really matters.
Clearly not,
unless you're fucking Tucker Carlson.
Oh,
because like,
okay.
And this has been the really funny part is like he did a thing much like when they like quote unquote banned Dr. Seuss books, although they didn't really ban Dr. Seuss books,
when they
right?
Canceled Dr. Seuss,
right?
Yeah.
They didn't though.
Of course they didn't.
They just took 3 of his sort of like not okay books and pulled them, or whatever.
Look, if it was actually a story, it wouldn't have been on Fox News.
Exactly, right? But yeah, and so the funniest part has been seeing all the like Photoshop edits of Tucker. I can't say his name. Stupid Tucker Carlson. Like
fucker Tarleson.
Yeah, with a picture of the fucking green M&M and like whatever the Fox headline was under that picture, but like photoshopping new headlines, and like one of them was just like. It was like, shitty non-binary M&Ms is all we deserve. That just cracks me up. And like, but then there's been even more funny things because apparently he's mad that they're desexifying an M&M, and he thinks that's indicative of like woke culture and fucking,
They fucking defunded this guy's spank bank. Like, this is all.
Well, and that's been like the funny thing. It's like, people have just been giving him such a hard time of like, whoa, didn't know you fucking had a thing for green M&Ms, like,
I mean,
sexy
like,
anthropomorphic M&Ms, dude.
Look, we're not here to kink shame, okay? Like,
no.
If that's what gets you off is a fucking green cartoon M&M, like, fucking go you.
Yeah, man.
But like,
melts in your mouth.
I feel like taking a fucking like that is not the hill that I want to die on. You know what I'm saying?
No.
But
no, that dude will die on any hill. It's wild. Yeah. The green M&M hill is currently the one that he's willing to fucking march to the top and just fucking slit his own throat on. So
it's just farcical at this point.
Oh man, it is. And this is like, fucking the problem with 24-hour news cycle is
of course.
Like, that's not news.
Well, especially when like you're not interested in presenting factual information, like
right.
You really got to fucking drum up some shit to fill some time with.
Yeah, and it's just so like it means nothing. And also, they didn't really desexify the M&M anyway. She still has like luscious lips, and they took her heel size down a little bit.
I was gonna say, what was actually sexy about this M&M? It's a round thing with lips and eyes and like gloved hands. And maybe some high heels, but
literally high heels and like more luscious lips than the other M&Ms.
Like I don't even
eyelashes.
Eyelashes, yeah.
I mean, like if the thing had shapely legs and they turned them into sticks, like I could kind of get it, I guess. But
nah, she still got the same body.
Yeah, I mean it was always just a circle with sticks with gloves and shoes, like
right. Yeah,
I don't know, man.
It is wild out there.
That is
the things people get worried about. But this is even like, and then a bunch of people are speculating that it's all just like some dumb like advertising, basically like scam, kind of like they did with Mr. Peanut last year, where they killed Mr. Peanut all so he could just be resurrected at the Super Bowl.
Hey man, like I used to read Superman comics. Like I've seen this happen before.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, it's perfect timing too that they're like desexifying the M&M right before Super Bowl, and then there's probably going to be some Super Bowl ad with all the new M&Ms doing whatever it is they're doing.
Oh, and it's just going to be fucking just an M&M pornography orgy.
I hope so, dude.
You know,
like, I hope so.
This is how they're gonna pull the gotcha. You know,
yeah.
Like,
Super
you thought we were,
yeah,
you thought we were desexifying. It's actually just gonna be a giant bowl full of M&Ms, and when you zoom in, they're just like fucking forming tableau. You know,
yeah,
like,
dude.
Just, you know, like fucking 5-way starfish weird sex. You know.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's what happens when I eat a bag of M&Ms. I just throw them all in my mouth and let them go to town, dude.
They're just having a party in there,
yeah.
You know.
Let them melt in there.
One flows into another. It's just, you know,
dude.
like...
Can't tell green from brown from yellow, like...
You know, like, they do a little mescaline once they get in there, and it's ego loss, you know?
Totally. Yep. I won't even get started on Reese's Pieces because they're the real freaks.
Well, and that's my jam. Like, fucking M&M, dude. I don't give a shit. Like, that's just fucking chocolate with a candy shell. Yawn, dude. But, like, there's some peanut butter in there? Oh, you got me.
Yep, faux show.
Oh, man. No, like... I'm not saying that the the dark Reese's peanut butter cup is like the pinnacle of candy making, because it's not.
No,
but it's fucking good, man. Like,
yeah, the dark chocolate Reese's peanut butter cup.
Holy mother of God, yeah.
That's the jam.
Oh yeah.
I have yet to have one.
And also whatever the fucking Reese's fucking, and I'm like, at me Reese's, because like we will shill for you, but like,
oh definitely, dude. Yeah,
but like whatever the Reese's candy bar is, that's like a Butterfinger with like Reese's-ness in it, like,
well, yeah, and that's been like the Reese's trend for a while, just sort of like
cloning shit and throwing peanut butter in it.
Yeah, just doing weird amalgamations of, you know, just taking, it's almost like like the Taco Bell menu sort of thing of just
that's
like...
That's exactly what it is.
It's just like, all right, we have peanuts, we have our peanut butter, we have chocolate, we have nougat, we have caramel. How do we like fuck this into a new concoction, put a new package on it, and then call it a fucking whatever.
We'll throw some Doritos dust on it and call it a new thing.
Yeah, totally, right?
Yeah, dude. Like, I'm here for that. Like, I don't know, like... You know, James Corden wants to talk shit about American candy, like just being basically peanut butter, but like, that's not. There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion.
I gravitate towards the peanut butter chocolate candies more than anything, for sure.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't really want other. Yeah, most American candy bars are shit, but like the Reese's ones really fucking get it down.
Oh man, like it's not. It's more of a novelty, but like once they put the Reese's Pieces inside the peanut butter cup, I was like, they're on some shit now. They're on some shit.
Making the minis, shoving them inside the thing.
Oh,
yeah,
it's just
dude.
like, okay, you guys, you cracked the code. Like, you're doing some fucking shit now.
Yep.
You know?
Man, see, and I'm just waiting for them to start making stuff without chocolate, because that's always my least favorite part of any of this stuff. And I know, like, people would argue that you need it there. But, like, you know, I always chew off the chocolate around the Butterfinger, because I just want, like, if I could just get pure Butterfinger innard,
yeah, that's fair.
I'd buy that.
Look, I don't like the bread on a sandwich either, but, like,
look,
people get mad at you when you just want to, like, eat a pound of lunch meat. You know?
But that's just, like I guess that's just a veggieless salad. I guess depending on the fucking sandwich. Just a pile of meat and mayo.
Not gonna lie, there has been a time when like I went to make a tuna sandwich and like didn't realize that my bread had been sitting there a little too long, and like,
oh yeah,
you know, open the bag and I'm like, well, that smells like beer, and like turns out it ain't good anymore.
Yeah,
you know, and so like, you know, you got to eat some tuna salad with crackers or whatever, but like. Maybe that's not a good analogy, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you didn't have the crackers, then you're really just fucking...
Just eating straight tuna salad.
Then you're just eating tuna salad, which, you know...
I mean, you know, there are worse things in this world, but... Like,
that's funny. I guess, like, that seems way less weird to me than just smearing mayo on lunch meat and eating that, but, like...
No, that's weird. That is real weird.
Don't tuna salad is just, like, meat and mayo.
Yeah,
and, like, some mustard and some relish.
You're right. Okay, so like I guess if you know, you whip it up real good into a mousse, you know, like.
Oh no.
Well, this podcast is over.
Yeah, welcome to the last episode of Coming Down. That's actually a perfect segue. Yeah, Well, yeah. Welcome to Coming Down. We are nearly at the 100 episode mark, which is fucking crazy.
Nigh on it.
And we had some ideas for something to do for 100th episode. We might still come up with something fancy, but I don't know. This whole pandemic of it all, like we can't do a live show. We were maybe going to try and get like a bunch of guests on and do something, but it's feeling like that might even be hard to do at this point. Yep. So I don't know what we're going to do for the 100th.
We might just have to make a big deal out of the 110th or some shit like that. But,
yeah, totally. Or maybe we'll just skip 100.
Yeah, who knows?
I mean, like in the mind's eye, we'll all know that episode 101 is actually 100, but like we can just title it as 101 and then we'll do episode 100.
Yeah, or maybe we'll do a 111 just to be like weirdos,
Sure, totally. So anyway, but it got me thinking about it today. And so I have a story here, which is actually, this will date us back to, this is how long I've wanted to do this podcast. And we've been doing this podcast for like 3 years and change now. With like a chunk break in there for 2020 pandemic shit.
Absolutely. There's been a few months where we didn't do anything.
Yeah, but it's been, like, we started this in 2018, and we're now in 2022. So
that's fucking crazy to me.
It's way crazy.
It's also insane that, like, it's been 2 years since fucking 2020. Like,
my friend.
Wow.
As we boldly enter year 3 of the pandemic, it is just fucking weird, man.
Yeah. Like, what wild fucking new shit will we see next, This is the problem, though, is we're seeing wild new shit out there, but man, I've generated less content in the last 2 years than my whole fucking life, man. I have no fucking exciting stories to tell from the last 2 years because I haven't done anything. Yeah, what can you do?
Just like tried to stay safe and fucking, and that didn't even work, or kind of worked. But,
I mean, we're still here, so yeah. It worked well enough.
Well enough, but yeah, just like haven't fucking done anything. So really hoping for a break here so we can go out there and fucking generate some new content.
Like, at some point, we're just gonna go out in the desert and allegedly boof a bunch of fucking psychedelics, and we'll have some new stories to tell.
That's for sure.
We can just backdate them 10 years and
totally
skirt the statute of limitations that way, allegedly.
Yeah. So, but it did get me thinking that back when I was out on tour with my band New York Rifles that I was in out here, before we had ever even talked about this, and I knew that I wanted to do this storytelling podcast, and my goal was just to get a guest every week. I was just going to meet up with people all the time, and we'll just do stories that way. And that proved to be tricky to try and like figure out how to schedule people, and I don't know, just like trying to do all of that while working and living a life and stuff. So that was tricky.
I mean, we've been pretty lucky with our guest episodes, but like, part of the whole thing is just that we are locked in.
You know?
Like, if you don't have another person who's locked in, it's like, how can you guarantee that you're going to be able to generate content on any kind of a regular basis?
Right, totally. And that was why, and we've talked about it on here before, when we had that clarity moment that one night, sitting outside the bar where it was like, wait a second.
Yeah, dude.
You want to do this? Oh, yeah, let's do this.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, we've been over this, but like, yeah, it was like I was having a fucking dream.
Yeah. But well before that moment, I actually did record an episode of a podcast that I had every intention of putting out. It is currently sitting on a hard drive behind me that needs to still be recovered. Someday I might recover that because I have to go take it to a specialist and pay them like God knows how much money. I think like probably $100 or some such to get all the things off that hard drive that I need, which is some music and some photos and stuff, so I have to go do it eventually. But it's expensive, and it's an effort to go drive out to the place and drop it off and do the whole thing. So I haven't done it yet. But I also realized I should just tell this story to you because this is our thing. Because when I originally did this story, I It was when I was out on tour. It was actually the night. If you listen to the first episode of this podcast, I talk about this bar fight that broke out.
Yep.
That very night, before the bar fight broke out, while there was a break in the music...
Oh, that's right.
I dragged my friend Brett out into the parking lot, put my little recorder on a mic stand, and we just sat out in the parking lot and reminisced on this story because he was there. And it was a little like...
I've actually talked to Brett about this now because I've hung out with Brett. But...
Yeah, and we did just a little 35-minute thing, and if I do recover it, what I will do is I will put it on the Patreon. And
Sick.
Look at me with the segues. So,
hey-o!
For those who might just be joining us, or those who don't know, we do run a Patreon. It just is an effort to help us pay for our hosting costs and stuff like that. So if you go to patreon.com/comingdownpod, you can chip in $1 a month. And that just helps us, do stuff. And then if you chip in more, we send you stuff like buttons and stickers and coasters and shirts. And we've got all sorts of fun little things on there.
It's sweet stuff.
And there's a few bonus content episodes on there, too, that we've not put out in the main feed. So
And never will.
So those are there for you, the even more loyal listeners who chip in a little bit of cash. And so we love you all for that. And we really thank everyone who's already doing it. And also, if you want to hit us on Twitter, Coming Down Pod, or email us at comingdownpod@gmail.com. So, so I will put that episode out someday. It'll be like episode 0, basically. And I think it was really good. But it occurred to me today that I haven't told this story yet. Because I was like, I'll just eventually get that one and put it out.
I've heard you say this a few times, where it's like, I'm just going to get it off my hard drive because I want this to be like... the definitive whatever.
But I realized I don't need to do that, and I shouldn't do that because this is our thing, and so I've still got a fucking stone cold classic in my pocket.
Yes.
As we near episode 100, time to bust out one that's just been kicking around forever. That's one of my favorite stories to tell.
I love it.
I'm gonna walk us back to circa 1998 or 99-ish. 99 probably.
Oh, it was a good year.
Yeah. Back when there was one Matrix movie out.
I mean, they didn't make the second one until this year, so
Based on some reviews, they didn't even make that one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do I need to...
I haven't seen it yet.
Am I going to be eliminated soon because I admitted that there's a Matrix sequel?
Yeah. So this is back. So I lived in this basement apartment with my friend Brett and another guy named Mikey. We called it Sane because when you were there, you were insane because we were hilarious.
The razor wit.
Yeah, and actually, I'll walk you back even a little further. So I had met this guy Brett in high school, and he was really good friends with this guy named Zach, and they kind of had a little band duo going on, and by band they got high and played instruments together. And then Joe and my friend Joe, we also had a little band duo, and by that I mean we also played instruments and got high. We met these guys, and basically they were like, you get high and play instruments too? We should do that together.
I love it.
Yeah, and Joe played guitar mostly, but he also knew how to fuck around on a keyboard.
Okay.
I played drums. Brett and Zach played guitar. So that's kind of why Joe jumped on keyboards, was because too many fucking guitarists, right?
Yeah.
And Zach was and still is an incredible guitarist. I mean, and for the age too. I mean, this dude could shred.
Hell yeah.
He really knew his way around the fretboard. Knew all his scales, knew how to really do it. Brett was and is still just probably one of the most genius songwriters I've ever met in my life.
Oh yeah.
That guy just cranks out songs like it's fucking nothing, and they're always brilliant. They're always funny, or when they're trying to be, or they're really heartfelt. Every single thing he's ever done is just fucking awesome.
and just quick reminder for those who don't know, like,
oh yeah, he did our theme song.
Yep.
Totally. He did our intro and outro music, and just like handed that to us for free because he's just the best. So
hell yeah, love you, Brett.
Yeah, and that was just like something he had kicking around. He was like, "You can have this." Like, sick, dude. And so we all got together because, and how it worked too was. I'll tell this bit. So yeah, Joe met Zach in, like, they had a class together, and Brett had already dropped out of high school at this point.
Right.
And Joe and I had talked about this because we had smoked weed together over the summer between junior high and high school. So between 9th and 10th grade, we had smoked some weed, and we knew we liked weed. And then we had talked about, like, wanting to do mushrooms, and we were like, I think we should do mushrooms. And so it was like, hell yeah, we're gonna do that. And so Joe had met this guy Zach. I don't know how they got to talking about it, but they did. And Zach was like, oh, I can get you guys some mushrooms. So we ended up buying shrooms from him, doing those, having a fucking great time.
Nice.
And then kept hitting him up for mushrooms and weed and stuff. And then he dropped out of high school also. But we did still have their number. And so one night we went over to their place because Zach, through however we had all talked about this, Zach found out that I had a little 4-track tape recorder, and he was like, dude, you got to bring that over. Bring that and some instruments over. We'll all get high and, like, record some music. And so we were like, oh, hell yeah, like, we'll do that. And so me and Joe went over to their place one night, and we did. And so I brought my little 4-track recorder. We just hit record. We all just started improvising. We were all awful.
Oh,
I mean, just
that's how this shit goes.
It was just like, avant-garde noise is all it was, Yep. None of us knew what the fuck we were doing. They were in, like, a little basement apartment, so I couldn't even really bring, like, a full-size drum kit, so I just brought, like, a hi-hat and a snare and, like, a cowbell or something, and like maybe a tambourine or something. We were just making, like, rattly noises, and, like, Joe's playing around on this keyboard that they had, and that's how I think that actually might be how Joe, like, found out he could fuck around on a keyboard and, like, knew a little more than he knew.
Okay.
And we were just making noise, and we recorded this little 40-minute improv album in quotes. But we loved it. We, like, listened back on it a bunch, and we were like, damn, this is cool, like, there's something here, man. Like, I don't know, like, it's noise and it's nonsense, but there's something here, and so we were like, all right, let's start, like, playing more together. Let's figure out how to start a band. Fast forward through my high school career, which didn't last too terribly much longer after this point.
I was gonna say, like, you make it sound like it's more than a few years. Like,
yeah, I mean, it lasted
more than a few months or whatever.
Well, it lasted another. I mean, we went on. I made it to my next year of high school.
Right.
But the high school story is another story that's coming soon.
Sure.
So we'll jump ahead a little bit. Throughout the time, we did, like, hang out with those guys, like, a bit, but they were a couple years older than us and had another friend group and stuff, and they also, like, did drugs a lot. Like, they were tripping, like, every weekend and really, like, being fucking the hippies who are out there, like, scrapping for weed, like, every day and shit,
Yeah.
And we weren't that. We were still just trying to, like, get through our first year of high school and shit. So,
my kindred spirits.
Yeah, totally. Totally. No, and I mean, mine too, but it was a tough spot for me to be in because I was like, well, I kind of want to go down this road,
there yet.
But I also am in, like, my first year of high school, and, like, maybe I could just get through high
school.
Oh yeah,
and, like,
or whatever.
I wasn't there until later in high school too.
Yeah,
so.
I was like, I don't know what I'm trying to be or whatever. I had also, like, dated a girl in my first year of high school, so I had kind of, like, that life too, and then family life, and then hanging out with these guys. So there's kind of a bit of everything going on.
Being pulled in three directions at minimum.
Yeah, a little bit. And so, fast forward a little bit, though. And so, we had played some music together here and there. Nothing real serious. Hadn't actually written any songs. Brett wanted to initially call the band the Antitrust Fruit Store Ragtime Jamboree.
God damn it.
Which I've always loved. Always loved that name.
One more time.
The Antitrust Fruit Store Ragtime Jamboree.
God fucking damn it.
Yeah. And so we were toying around with that idea for a while, and that's kind of what we did call ourselves. Not that we played shows or did anything.
Of course.
But we could go brag to people that we were in a band. Then when I moved into this basement apartment with Brett, the major goal of getting this place together was we're going to play music. This is where we'll actually get to set up a band room.
Hell yeah.
We'll actually start this band for fucking real. I'll get to move my full-size kit in. We'll move some amps in. We'll get loud. We'll fucking do this thing.
Nice.
And so we did. We turned our bedroom into the jam room. We hot swapped the couch. We turned the closet in the jam room into a bed. So we put a tiny little like row of cushions down in the closet.
Yeah.
And then we would trade off. One person would sleep in the closet, one person would sleep on the couch, and then we kind of swapped those out because our whole bedroom that we were both renting, that Mikey somehow agreed to. This is the fucking hilarious thing, dude. Why Mikey agreed to let Brett and a 16-year-old kid share a room in a place that already was dirt cheap, and we were gonna move a bunch of instruments in.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, why he agreed? And neither of us had jobs. Or maybe Brett had a job. I didn't. I was going to high school still.
Oh my god.
And continued going to high school for a bit, but again, we'll get into that in the high school story. But yeah, how any of this happened, I have no idea. But Mikey was just sort of a really aloof, cool guy, and he wasn't much older than Brett. I think he was 20.
Okay.
Like, he might not even... Yeah, because I don't even think we got him to buy alcohol for us the one or two times we bought alcohol.
So like, you're 16, Brett's 18, he's 20?
Yeah, I think that's about how that worked out, yeah. Or in and around those age ranges. I think by the time that the events of this story go down, I would have been 17, Brett would have been 19, whatever.
Sure.
So we do start playing at this house, and Brett and Zach both have some songs that they've written, mostly Brett, but Zach had a couple too, and they had some songs that they had worked on as friends forever, like actual full fleshed out songs, verse chorus. Zach rips a solo, fucking some good shit.
Yeah.
And some of it was pretty hippie shit. There we had like a song called like Sunflowers that was like real Grateful Dead-y, and
yep.
a lot of it was pretty accessible, and then sometimes we would get super weird. And that's a lot of what we did at that house, was just get weird as fuck. But once we had full instruments, it started moving away from avant-garde noise to like full-blown like Pink Floyd psychedelic jams, like long jams where we would just like go in and out of sequences. Like someone would land on something, Joe would land on like a keyboard like chord progression or a little fucking lick or whatever, and then we'd just like go on that for a while and then like fade out of that and like move into something else and just do these long fucking cool jams. I want to say, unfortunately, I don't have any recordings of this because we didn't have recording capability. I had to give that 4-track back to my dad. But I want to say if I had recordings of that to this day, I bet some of it's pretty good.
Hell yeah.
Albeit like pretty amateur, but like I bet there's some real fucking stuff in there.
I don't want to sidetrack us too much.
No. Sidetrack away.
What the fuck was your dad doing with a 4-track?
That's a great question. I literally don't know.
Like you had to give it back to him for what?
I literally don't remember why he owned a 4-track. Because he was a photographer, and he was kind of... Man, what the fuck project was he working on? He must have had some multimedia project he thought he was going to pull off.
Okay.
Or he got it from a friend for super cheap and was like... He was kind of a gearhead, tech head guy. Like, he liked having gadgets and just technology around,
Cheap equipment and stuff. All right.
Yeah, I mean, like, what I was telling the dad episode, I mean, he had a computer before, like, my mom did... And we did lots of computer stuff, like playing little games and stuff. And he was like, check this out. I got this disc. It's got all this shit on it. Like, yeah, I mean, he was all about that shit. So that's my guess.
All right.
Fucking, I have no idea, though.
Because, yeah, it's...
that is lost to the sands of time.
It's not something that... Because I recently re-listened to the fucking dad episode. So I'm like searching my fucking brains here. And I'm like... When did this fucking weirdo need a 4-track?
I have no idea, honestly. But yeah, it was my dad's, and he let me borrow it, and then he took it back. But anyway.
All right.
Even if he didn't take it back, like, we wouldn't have known what we were doing with it. Would have all just... We would have hung a mic in the room, and it would have just been, like... clipped noise blast that sounded like fucking shit. Much like what we're doing right now.
As if on cue.
I know, right? So...
capturing every nuance of the noise around us.
Yep, absolutely, yeah. Just hang a mic in the room, call it good. So we had some cool shit going on. Our neighbors would disagree. And this is like, I have to talk about this, and it's a little bit dark, but we had a Mexican family who lived above us. And
this is sane, right?
This is sane, because we were in the basement apartment. We were 405 and a half Alpert Street was our address.
For those who have heard the shitwater incident, we are aware of said family.
Yeah, and I think we do bring that up a little bit in that episode, but...
Well, they brought their laundry down upon you.
They did bring their laundry down upon us. They also brought fucking anger down upon us because our bedroom, where we set up our band room, was literally under their bedroom. the mom and dad's bedroom. And we would play all night. Until 4 in the morning.
Sweet fuck.
Yeah. And shockingly, they never called the cops, but that's because I'm not sure they were legally here, or some members of the family
poor
weren't.
Bastards.
We also stopped caring too much because we heard some fights up there that seemed pretty abusive physically. And it seems like the dad of that family was a fucking abusive, really abusive. And there was one night that we were all hanging out, and there was one night that we could hear them, we could hear him hitting her. And we were just like, what the fuck do we do? Because we're kids, we've got drugs in the house, we've got kind of our own concerns, and we're like, do we call the cops? What the fuck do we do? And my friend Steve, who was there, shout out Steve, I know you listen, he was drinking that night. None of us really drank, but Steve would come over and drink. We'd all take drugs or whatever. He got fucking furious and was started marching up the stairs, and we had to tackle him back down, and we were like, dude, fucking leave it alone, man. It's not our fucking thing, man. I don't know, man. And I kind of feel awful about it to this day, and we all felt awful about it while we lived there. It also made us feel less awful about playing until 4 in the morning and fucking pissing this dude off, which I guess was just further abuse for his wife. So fuck, man. Yeah. I
mean, those situations are always complicated, and I'm not trying to absolve you of any guilt here, but
no.
There's been plenty of times when the cops have been called in those situations, and it's hurt more than it helped. So
right,
I'm gonna call it a wash in your case.
I'm gonna call it a wash too, because I'm 20 plus years removed from the whole situation, and while I don't have a clean answer now, I certainly did when I was 17, and none of us fucking did. So
absolutely.
But we did kind of use it to justify fucking jamming in that room and being like, fuck this guy.
I mean, I get it though.
Yeah.
If he's not going to call the cops, maybe he'll fucking move out.
And he didn't ever call the cops on us, but he would come and scream at us a lot. But we were just like, whatever, fuck you, man. And kind of, or we'd stop. We'd be like, all right, we'll stop. But
Jesus.
But yeah. So in this interim, and I'm still going to high school, and we decided to rename the band Xylofluff, spelled
XYLO
FLUF. Xylofluff.
I mean,
I think we put an umlaut on the O to be cheeky.
Xylofluff?
Yeah, or something like that, yeah. But
that's even better.
But yeah, it was Xylofluff. Brett came up with this idea, and all of Brett's ideas were great, so we went with it. Much easier to tell people than the Antitrust Fruit Store Ragtime Jamboree.
Oh, that's right. Which is also a great name, but
which is also a great name.
Way too much of a mouthful.
But we realized, we can't fit that on a flyer and shit.
Yeah.
But
Xylofloof, that's catchy.
Yeah. It was nice. It was a good name. We all enjoyed it. It was weird, just like us, and so we were like, that's it. That's our name. That's our band. So we had Xylofluff, the band, and then I think Zach booked this show. I don't remember who, but I think Zach booked us our first show. Because we also didn't know what to do. We were like, we're in a band. What do we do? Like, none of us were 21, so we couldn't, go play the bars or anything. We didn't have any money, so we couldn't go record.
This is my favorite thing about high school kids starting a band. It's like, let's put a bunch of instruments in a room. We're going to wang on them until we feel good about it.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about how we don't know what the fuck to do. Because, how do you do a thing?
Yeah. We wrote some songs. We play the instruments. What's next?
Right?
And none of us have any guide or a mentor or anything, and none of us have rich parents or any sort of in or anything anywhere. We're just poor, stoned, mushroomed kids making noise, and we're like, what next? I know bands play shows, right? But
sure.
Yeah, that's what they do, right?
Yeah. I mean, open mic night, battle of the bands,
right?
Those are pretty much your options, because you're not gonna fucking hand a fucking venue owner a demo tape,
No, how are we even gonna make a demo tape
sake.
On our fucking non-budget, dude?
Right?
In our no gear. So
yeah.
Basically, we just had to talk it up to everyone around us and just be like, we're in a band. And that's kind of where it started and stopped. Yeah. And it was kind of dumb, because it was like, man, we want to do this, but we don't know where the fuck it all to go with it. Oh yeah, how do we get from here to playing arenas? I don't know. I really don't know, man. The bars won't let us in, and there's nothing else, man. There's just nothing else, especially in a little town, man. There's no all ages venue. There's nothing. There's no place to go.
Exactly.
I guess maybe we could have hit up the YMCA or something. I don't know. I do know this, and I'll tell this story. Man, maybe I don't know when I'm ever going to get Brett back on, but
oh god, I fucking hope we get Brett back on.
I know that one night before we moved into this house, him and Zach went and knocked on the door of the KCSU studio. So the KCSU is the college radio station. They went and knocked. They were tripping, and they went and knocked on the door of the studio, because it was this little shack outside of campus, and it was just this self-isolated building.
Weird.
And they knew where it was, and they went and knocked on the door at 3 a.m. and the DJ was like, can I help you? And they had guitars, and they were like, do you want to put us on right now? It's 3 a.m. You just let us in and play 2 songs live on the air. And the dude did.
What?
Yeah.
That man is a saint.
Yeah. So I remember there was talk of oh, we've got it in at KCSU. We did not.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But that was one of the thoughts of all right, we have the band, now what? Well, we could probably get on the radio. No, we could not.
All right, so here's the deal. We're going to show up in a van.
Yeah.
Nate, you're going to need to put your drums on your back.
Yeah. Well, and this is the thing. This is all we had was elaborate non-ideas. None of them were go ask some place to let us play.
Right.
It was just oh, we'll do this, or we'll do this. We'll do this guerrilla fucking thing, this avant-garde thing. Right.
Flash mob band.
Yeah, and we're all just on too many mushrooms these days. No ideas were normal ideas, right? We couldn't just have a regular thought ever. So
I mean, that would be too boring.
It would. Yeah, it literally would. It's no, what am I gonna do? Go play a show? So someone came back, and we had booked a show. I don't remember who it was, but I think it was Zach had booked us a show.
Okay.
And he was like, it's It might have been a battle of the bands. Some of these grains of sand are lost to the sands of times.
I mean, it's only been 20 plus years.
That's not an idiom that makes any sense.
Drug use and memory loss.
Yeah, totally. So I think it was a battle of the bands, because I know it was this all-day lineup, and it was like a daytime show. Started at noon, went to like 6 or whatever. 10 bands on the lineup. And I think we only got it because a band dropped out, and like Zach knew someone who was putting this show on and was like, "You're in a band, right?" And he was like, "Am I?"
Let me tell you about xylophone.
I've been waiting for this opportunity. And so
you might know us as the Antitrust Fruit Store fucking
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Whatever the rest of that was.
Yeah, you might know us from 2 songs we played live at 3 a.m. on KCSU. And so he comes back and he's like, "We got a show. Like, we get a 30-minute set or a 40-minute set or something like that." And we were like, "Cool. We should probably play like our real songs, right? Not just take drugs and jam out like we mostly do."
Wait, hold on.
But we had real songs.
But have you thought about just taking drugs and freaking out on the radio?
This did cross our minds. Like, we had 2 schools of thought. We were like, okay.
I love this.
Do we take drugs, just show up, and fucking freak out the squares?
Yes.
Or...
I mean, no, absolutely no. Do not do that.
Or do we take this seriously for like a minute? We had songs. 3 or 4 of them were like, probably 3 of them were like fairly fleshed out. A couple more needed a little work, but it's like, okay, let's polish these in. Let's get them dialed in. 5 songs. That's and we'll do long solos to fill in the gaps. That'll be a 40-minute set.
Sounds great.
It did. Yeah, it did sound great. And so we were like, all right, man, let's do this. We'll fucking dial in this set. And then we're going to go play our first show. And as a tester, we set up out on the back porch one day and invited a bunch of our friends. And I have actually a ton of photos from this day. So I'll either take pictures of them or scan them, but I'll get them in the show notes for this.
I have a scanner, so we got you.
Perfect. Okay, I actually have just like a ton of printed out photos from this exact day. So the lineup here too. Oh, I should mention our friend Pat, who I've mentioned on the show. Friend of the show. One of my best homies. He had now joined the band playing bass. So sick. We got me on drums, Joe on keyboards, Pat on bass. Brett and Zach Brett's playing rhythm guitar and Zach is on lead guitar.
Wait, this is a real band.
It's a fucking real band, dude.
Holy
Everyone's
shit.
Got roles. We're fucking doing it.
Wow, dude.
Yeah, and so we did these songs. We set up on our back porch, invited all of our friends, and which wasn't like too terribly many. It was like kind of a small lawn gig, but we set up some decorations everywhere and we just sat out there and played just kind of as a warm-up of like, here's what it's going to be like to not just be in our little bedroom. Like, we're going to be out there, it's going to be outdoors, like we're going to try and play for people and make it sound good. Well, here's a wild fucking thing. This fucking little shindig went off without a hitch. Like, it was great. We played really well. People had a really good time. Like, all our hippie friends were like getting stoned and dancing around in the yard.
Fuck yeah.
And the Mexican dude who lived upstairs, he came walking around, kind of peeked over and looked at us, and we were like, oh, fuck, man, is this dude gonna shut us down? And we were like playing in the afternoon on a Saturday. We're like, come on, man, we gotta do this. Because at this point, too, like, tensions had started to mount even more. He's starting to yell at us even more, and we're starting to kind of, like, have to manage our practice times a little more and stuff. And even just, we realized how disrespectful we were being, too, so...
Yeah.
Like, so we had started kind of, like, working out some shit or whatever. We were like, man, is this dude gonna come fucking razz us for this? Well, he peeks around, and then he goes back into his house. And then, like, 10 minutes later, he comes out with a guitar.
Shut the fuck up.
And he fucking just stands off to the side, sort of pays attention to the chords we're playing, and then just starts, like, strumming along, like, off to the side.
get the fuck out of here,
dude. And we're like,
this dude's trying to jam with you.
Yeah, but being like way cool about it. He's like, he didn't want to just like come get on our stage or whatever, but he just like,
but he was
sat over there and was just
like, you dudes are cool. I want to fucking play guitar with you.
Yeah,
like,
and we were just like, all right, man, you're a musician, so like maybe that's why you didn't give us as much shit as you could have, or like, you know. So it was like, all right, and so we like bridged a real gap that day. It was like, all right, dude.
I did not expect that from this story.
None of us did. None of us expected it from that day, that moment. That's so
fucking cool.
It was super tight. Yeah, and then he like sat out there, played along on one song, and then we were just like, hey man, like, you know, shout out to you. And he was just like, yeah, you guys are cool, you know, or whatever, like whatever he said. He was like, you know, good job, you guys. And then I think he just hung out and like cracked a beer and watched us play the rest of our songs and then went inside. Yeah.
Wow.
So
that I'm really happy about that. You know,
oh, me too.
Sucks. All everything else about that guy fucking sucks. But you know, like,
everything about the whole situation sucks. Like, we were shitty young kids. He's a shitty whatever. Like, you know. And look, the fucking wife did dump all that laundry on us. So like,
yeah, exactly.
Fuck her too
for that. After you guys were like, hey, can you not?
Yeah, we literally asked her like, any water you use comes up through our drains in our floor. Will you just, you know, like, I know you guys got a shower and whatever, but like, and then she went and did laundry. So like, you know what?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
but that's fucking dope, dude. That's really dope.
So that ended up turning out to be pretty cool, and it really got us prepped for our first real show that we that we had coming up. Now, here's the point where I tell you where this show was. This show was in Loveland, Colorado.
Oh,
which was like the Shelbyville to our Springfield.
Right.
It was the tinier, shittier town that didn't have a college, and you know, you didn't go back then too in '99.
Wait, hold on. Isn't Shelbyville like? Oh no, I'm thinking of Eagleton versus Pawnee. My bad.
Yeah, similar vibes.
Well, right. But
we would have been the Eagleton. Yeah, exactly, totally.
And so that's
Loveland would have been the Pawnee.
That's what fucked me up, because here in Oregon, Springfield is the shitty town, and Eugene is the nice town,
right?
But you know,
and that's the joke, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That like Matt Groening wrote, like, because you know all the anyway, So. So yeah, back in '99, you had no fucking reason to go to Loveland ever. For any fucking reason,
no,
ever at all. It's not even like they had that. Oh, they do have that one good restaurant, or like that one fucking thing. No, you do not go to Loveland. But our show was in Loveland, and it was at a place called Tom Brown's Poultry Farm.
Hold the fucking phone here.
Yep.
Now, is this a clever name for an eatery?
Hell no. This is exactly what it sounds like, dude.
You are playing a show at a place where they raise livestock.
They sure do. And they also hold like stock shows, and that's where we played.
Okay. No, that
so
makes
they had this kind of
sense.
like outdoor rodeo arena. So there's like some seats, some like stadium style seating, and it's like this big thing. It's actually way too big for how they set this up, because like they didn't have anything mic'd up. And
wait, what?
And for those who don't know,
what? When you
play in a band, you often don't get anything mic'd up. When you play like a little club, they'll put your vocals on a mic.
Sure.
Occasionally, if the club's a little sized up, they'll throw a mic on the kick drum to give it a little extra oomph. When you play the next size club up, they actually do mic up the amps and everything. But when you play outdoors, all that sound gets fucking washed away in the outdoorsness of it all. Like, sound just goes out and away into the ether. There's no, like, directional sound. So,
yeah. No, I've actually done a little bit of fucking studying on, like, arena sound. And, like, to actually get the sound to everyone in the audience, you have to have massive horn stacks that are like at like weird angles and stuff.
Yeah, you get when you go to the arena shows, you see them like they build these whole like curvatures of speakers, these little like half moons of speakers, and there's tons of them, right? And that's for arena shows. A place like this, I mean, we really would have benefited from like a legit PA, like even at all. They had like a little dinky one that they had for the vocals, right? And then they didn't mic any amps or anything, so it kind of sounded like shit. And that's just always what happens when you play outdoors and you don't like mic anything up, right?
If everyone just brings their amps and your drums are acoustic, and your acoustic drums, your singer's on some shitty fucking auctioneer PA, like,
right? And your acoustic drums, which might sound real tuned up and nice, like in a room or whatever,
right?
Sound like wet cardboard,
right? Because you're like, they sound good because they're bouncing off walls.
You're getting all this acoustic reverberation, and
there's some nice sound pressure inside of that room. But instead, it's just wafting out into the ether and just sounds flaccid as hell.
However, that's how it was, and we were like, all right, whatever. And we didn't know better. We were like, hell yeah, we're playing this show. I think our slot was at like 4 p.m. or something.
I mean, that's killer. Like that's prime time.
Yeah. We weren't the noon slot, which is kind of sick, you know. Like and so we get out there, and oh boy, it's a real mixed bag, right? And we did manage to like bring our whole little posse of hippies, you know, like just bunch of flower children roll up on this thing, you know. And this was back when, like, you know, several of us had dreads and we all had our own bell bottoms we made, and we were all, you know, and we were dating these hippie girls who were making flower wreaths and stuff. Did
Brett have a pseudonym at this point in time?
He was still St. John.
Fuck yeah, he was.
He was still St. John. Zach also went by Zoa to some capacity, and then the rest of us had not earned our hippie nicknames yet. Or maybe we had, but I don't remember what they were.
Or at the very least hadn't had the balls to assert something.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. So, but we did roll out there with like a bunch of kids. So we had like our own little crew of, probably like 15 other people who were there to see us, and which I think made us have the largest crowd of any of these bands.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Because these were also other high school bands. There was not a good band that came to this thing, whatever it was. This Battle of the Bands, which again, I don't remember if it was or if it was just like some showcase that someone was putting on.
It literally doesn't matter because you're on a fucking chicken ranch. Like,
these
are the bands that are willing to play the chicken ranch on the auctioneer PA.
That's exactly fucking right, dude. Yep.
You guys just had more friends than the other bands.
We did.
Like, what are you gonna do?
And so we get out there, we set up our shit, and we play our set. And I think right before us was like this another high school band, but they were like a punk band, like real, or like a hardcore band. Yeah, they were like, you know, just real fast and loud and aggressive. And so they had some of their friends, some punk rock kids. Yeah, there were these kids in the audience with mohawks and shit.
Okay.
And we get there and we were like, these people are gonna fucking hate us, dude, because we're gonna play a song called Sunflowers. Like this is not gonna fucking go over. And then there's like parents everywhere of all these various children in these bands, and we're just like, man, nobody's gonna fucking like this at all, dude. Like, but we're gonna get out there and we're gonna play our songs.
I feel like you guys were selling yourselves short. Like,
well, as it turns out, we were. So we played our 5 practice songs. We had our 5 dialed in songs that we had worked on. We had them all worked out, and I don't know, for a bunch of stoned kids, we played pretty well. And and some of these punk kids were getting up and like dancing around and like clapping along to our shit, and we were like,
nice,
no shit, man. All right, we won over the punk kids, and there was even some like moms up in the seats that were kind of like getting up and like grooving a little bit, and we were like, okay, you know what, like we're making accessible music here. This is cool,
man.
Right?
You guys had an actual 5-piece, like,
totally,
man. Sounds like you put in enough time.
Yeah, and it certainly didn't hurt again that Zach was just such an incredible guitarist. I mean, at age 20, 21, whatever he was at this point, like, I mean, he's ripping like just Hendrix level solos, you know, like just
Damn.
He was incredible at that instrument.
That'll go a long way toward making your band.
It really will, you know, and that's sort of what we would do. We'd be like, all right, play the verse, chorus, and let this dude fucking shred, you know?
Dude, as long as your rhythm section can carry you and you've got, like, a guy who can shred, like...
Yep.
I mean...
Yep, so it worked out.
What was every 80s band?
I mean, literally, dude. And I mean, yeah, so we followed that formula quite a bit. And so we played our 5 songs. Everyone really liked it, and we were just like, "Holy shit, man! Like, that fucking went well," you know. And we're like getting off stage, starting to pack up our gear. And the guy who is running the show, he's like, whoever's organizing this thing, he runs over to us and he's like, "Holy shit, you guys! Like, people really liked you. That was good, you know. Like, you were like the best band we've had all day." And we were like, "No shit, like that's cool." And then he was like, "Yeah, so here's the thing." The band that was supposed to play after you canceled last minute. Like, do you guys just want to do another set? Do you want to just fill... Can you please fill another, 30, 40 minutes? And then I've got, another, one last band to close it out. I think they did have one... I think they had one kind of headliner-y band that was like, this band has to close it out, but, we lost a band. Can you guys just, do this? And so we all sort of were like, 1 sec, and conferred, and we were like... We don't have any more worked out songs. Like, we've polished these 5. We have other shit that we've fucked around with. We also know how to fucking get real stoned and fuck around.
Just noodle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we had this one song that we liked to noodle on a lot that we never polished into an actual song called In the Presence of God.
Oh boy.
That was super dark and super heavy. And heavy in the way when Pink Floyd would get heavy and dark.
Right.
You know, it was minor chords, and Joe had this church organ sound on his keyboard, and that's what it was. It was all based on this church organ lick that Joe had.
Sick.
Yeah, and it was all, it's E minors and shit, dude, and just it was dark, and all it was... it was we would just play and the verse, all it was the verse that was just reversing words around. So Brett would be up there and it was just in the presence of God I fear no evil. In the presence of God, I feel no pain. In the presence of pain, I fear no God. And just but mixing the words around, in the presence of evil, I fear no evil. And I don't know, just that over and over again. And then noodle, 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 go back to the verse, more of that shit. In the presence of evil, I feel no pain. And just and then noodle, noodle, noodle. And we were just okay, we could do this, right? And so that's what we decided to do.
Wow.
We were we don't have any actual songs. We could just come up with something. But we have this song. Loose song structure. We have a skeleton, basically.
So I'm guessing that instead of, telling this guy, hey... we've got about a 20-minute psychedelic jam that we could do, if you're cool with that. I'm guessing you were just we got this.
We did. That's exactly what we did. And there was a set break. So if I remember right, we talked about it and we were okay, if we're going to do this, we got to get real fucking high.
Well, I mean...
And so if I remember right, we walked off the property of the poultry barn, and there's no, it's out in the middle of nowhere, and so we walked down to this bridge, and we sat down there and just roasted 5 joints or whatever, and we all just got so incredibly stoned.
Dude, if you're not gonna forget who you are before you play this song, you're not fucking doing it.
Yeah,
right.
Well, right, yeah, and we knew we had to go in with the full oomph of it all,
Yeah, you gotta be in the presence of God for this motherfucker.
Yeah, dude, in the presence of God, indeed. And so we come fucking meandering back, sit down at our instruments. Joe breaks into the fucking organ lick, and then we just go. And we've got, I want to say we had 30 minutes to fill here. which is longer than this jam should ever go on by at least 10 or 15.
Buddy, Pink Floyd's Echoes 1 and 2 is about 20 minutes.
It is, yeah. Which is why I say it went on probably about 10 minutes longer than it really should have. Because we hate Pink Floyd Echoes 1 and 2. If there's one thing we weren't. Yeah. But and so, you know, because like at a certain point, like we weren't immaculate musicians, and so it was pretty damn repetitive, and we must have done like 9 verses of "In the Presence of God." You feel no pain.
Just like oh, their watches, like
yeah. So and this is after we're doing this hippie, like Grateful Dead-y sort of stuff.
Right.
We're singing Sunflowers.
Right. You go from Grateful Dead to Pink Floyd, like
yeah.
I'm sorry, like on paper for an uninitiated person, that might sound like nothing, but
for us, the crossover seemed fine. We knew that there was going to be a problem, though.
It's literally the division between two species of hippie in the '60s. You know,
yeah.
Like,
well, and it's also
70s, whatever.
It's also the dichotomy of we just saw this band play us like 5 really nice tunes that were just like good tunes, good almost just classic rock Beatles,
feel good
Dead vibes,
kind of stuff,
like just vibey, cool, fun, weird shit. And I mean,
now we're in the presence of
presence of God, and shit has gotten dark, and it's all minor chords, and like, I'm like, what the fuck is going on, right? The audience turned on us so hard. They did not like this song.
Oh, man. Oh, this 30-minute hellscape?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Like 5 minutes in, these punk kids who were like dancing around were just like, fuck this. And they left. Some of these moms in the stands who were like jamming around to our earlier shit were like, fuck this, we're out. And like, yeah, I mean, we're like clearing the room of already a sparse crowd. Like, there's not a ton of people at this thing to begin with. And people are just like leaving, just scowling at us too. So the people who did stick around, who are like, I guess I'm sticking around because I'm here just for the last band.
Mugging you.
But just being like, what? Like, after that? After the shit that I liked, you're gonna do this? And, like, some people were also confused as to why we were back on stage and why we had completely changed our entire fucking program. Like, what happened? These kids were like...
They went from Casey and the Sunshine Band to Black Sabbath.
Basically, right? It's kind of what we did. We sort of... what's the... bait and switched them, you know? Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Which is kind of what we always wanted to do anyway, as musicians. It's what the Beatles did to everyone, and we just thought that would be cool.
Like, for a hot second, I was like, man, you guys could have had a shot, but then I'm like, oh, no, wait, this was the fucking Chicken Ranch. Like,
oh, yeah.
Who actually cares? Like... Even if you had fucking walked away from this with like just a glowing fucking reputation from the literally like 12.5 people in the fucking audience or whatever, you know, like it wouldn't have mattered because it's fucking love. What is it called? The city
Loveland.
Loveland.
Yeah,
it's fucking Loveland.
It is Loveland.
Like,
yeah.
Even if you shred a chicken ranch in Loveland, like.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean shit. So
it doesn't mean shit. And yeah, it doesn't mean shit. And this is why we played this song and it was so funny. And it became like, as we were playing it, like, they didn't literally have to throw us off stage. But we could have ended this at any time. We could have read the room and been like, all right, and that's it. You know, like, we're done.
I love it.
Things are coming.
I love
it. Like, you know,
no, you're in the fucking presence of God now, motherfuckers.
You know, and it's like, and we'd wind it down because that's how you do these long jams. You wind it down a little, get it down to just like just little rumbles on the toms,
just little fucking
bits. Yeah, totally. Yeah, Zach's just noodling on guitar. The bass slows way down, and then fucking Brett turns around and gives us the nod of like, bring it back up, and then it's like, we're doing verse 7 in the presence of God. And it's just like, and then we're just doing this and just laughing, dude. And then we'd like wind it down, and then someone else, and then Zach would like come in with like the distortion pedal and be like, and then we'd like all, and just like back to it again, just fucking, oh man. It was gold.
That sounds like a fucking good time, dude.
It was a real good time for us and our friends.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like you get to be yeah. Oh fuck.
Yep. And so we and by the end, because we had gone on so long with this song, again, like I think we filled our whole time. It had to have been 30 minutes. Maybe even a little more. Even that promoter guy, you could see the look on his face, who was like just regretting asking us to play that second set. He was like, what have I done?
Right?
And like, he's just fucking dead inside. Half the crowd has left. The crowd that's still there is just angry. Like, they're just so mad that they have to just sit there in front of this. And so we finally like end our shit and just like, thank you, we're Xylofluff, and we just pack up our shit and get the fuck out of there, because we were like pretty sure someone was gonna come like beat us up. Like, there was the mood in the not the room, the mood in the rodeo stadium,
in the chicken arena,
yeah. Was palpable. You could feel it.
Well, fuck, I was really hoping you would tell me how bad the last band was.
You could feel it. Oh, we got the fuck out of there. We were like, nobody wants us here. They want us here less than the stink of the chicken shit. Like, yeah.
Do you think that there's maybe a parallel universe in which you guys were like, you know what, man, like, thank you for the opportunity, but like, we don't really have a lot of other material prepared, so like,
well, we did.
Why don't you ask the headliners if they want to start early?
So we did go confer, because we were like, hold on, dude, like, let's talk this over, because like, maybe. And then we all talked it over, and we were like, yeah, we don't have songs, but we do have this. Like, what do you guys think? It's like, fuck yeah, let's do it. It became very quick consensus of like, yeah, why the fuck not? We're here. It's a show.
When you're in Loveland. Like,
and we're in Loveland. It didn't matter.
Salt the fucking earth, man.
What we didn't totally know was that they were going to turn on us so hard. Like, we were like, okay, it's going to be different, but like, I don't know. We didn't expect the punk kids to be dancing around to the Sunflower song, so like, I don't know. But like, fuck, did everyone turn on us. They did not like it. Which, how can you blame them?
I mean,
well, how can you blame Lovelanders, you know?
They're just in this land for love, man. They don't care about the presence of God.
They don't. They're not in the presence of evil. But they were feeling the pain. That might be it.
I think that's it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, because there's nothing more to this story. Yeah.
I'm not trying to pull any taffy on that. You guys get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, we got the fuck out of there. That was the one and only Xylofluff show.